the home of inspiration every day.
Most people give up on themselves easily. You know the human spirit is powerful.
From news,
countries across the globe have been hit by the COVID-19 virus.
views,
There's a global trend to see an increase in GBV incidences, specifically domestic violence.
sports,
What's he say? It's a really good ball. It's Shabalala.
and music to inspire you every day. This is Vuga Online, your inspiration radio station.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of The Cycle right here on Vuga Online Radio with me, your host, MOGALE. Thank you so much for streaming this evening, Monday the 3rd of March. Can you believe it that we are already in March? Not so long ago, it was just January and now we are in March already. Before you know it, it will be June and Nending is December, so let's just get on with what we need to do. The things that we have set for ourselves this year, 2025, let's just get going. If you haven't started with your New Year's resolutions, please start now. You still have some time, but not enough time because it's March now. The next thing is it's April, and then before you know it, it's September, and the year is over, and we haven't done anything with what we have planned for the year. Before we go any further, let me take this opportunity to thank my colleague Mongezi Makalema for the news bulletin. He will be coming back at 7 p.m. to bring you the latest in the news. That's what we do right here on Vuga Online Radio. This is your inspiration radio. We make sure that you are well versed, well acquainted, and of course, well informed with whatever is happening right here in the country, on the continent, and of course, even across the globe. Some of the issues that have been, taking much of our attention in the last few days before we go into what we'll be discussing this evening on the cycle. We know that in the last few days, the G20 meeting for finance ministers, for central bank governors have concluded in Cape Town. Before that, there was a G20 foreign ministers, which was held here in Johannesburg. And of course, in between, there were a whole lot of events that were taking place. We can't mention all of them. There's a lot. And by the way, AfriForum went back to the Washington, D.C. to engage the Trump administration on what they call, injustice that is happening to a particular class, not a class, but a particular race, that is the Afrikaners here in South Africa. And people have been talking about the fact that we should just charge these people, the NPA should charge these people for treason and make sure that they don't do this again. And of course, the president saying that we don't want to sow divisions in our nation. And of course, that conversation, I can assure you, it will still continue for the next few days and even weeks, and we will see how this will actually come to a conclusion, because it looks like it's something that is going to go on and on and on, and I don't see anything positive for the AfriForum coming out of this, because I think they're just making things even worse for themselves. But we have tried in the past to bring them onto the show. They were not interested. I must be honest with you. They were not interested. They said that they will make time in the coming months. You can really see that these are people who were not actually interested to come and have a conversation with us right here on the cycle, just for us to understand the nature of their concerns with the Bella Act or the Bella Law, which is now a law, with the expropriation law. What are their concerns and how they wish those concerns must be addressed by the South African government. But Asiko Lapo this evening we will be joined by Build One South Africa member of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, Ayanda Allie, who will be talking to us about the State of the Province address as it was delivered by the Premier of this province, Gauteng Panyaza Lesufi. Of course, he spoke about the G13, the group of 13 challenges that government of Gauteng are challenges that they are faced with right here in the province. And among those issues, fixing roads and potholes. And I believe that this is the challenge that most of you in your township, in your suburbs, these days, potholes, they don't care whether you are in a township or you are in a suburb. There are potholes everywhere, and they say that they are going to be dealing with those. He also spoke about tackling economic development, combating crime and lawlessness, expanding the Gautrain services. Very interesting indeed, saying that this will create about 125,000 construction jobs. And he also spoke about creating more jobs, of course, and of course enhancing struggling sectors are some of the issues that Panyaza Lesufi outlined in his State of the Province address last week. And this evening, the member of the Provincial Legislature for BOSA, that is Build One South Africa, Ayanda Allie, will be reflecting on the State of the Province address, and also talking to us about the statement that she released just a day before the State of the Province address, which she calls the true state of the province. And in this statement, she outlined some of the challenges or the issues that Gauteng is faced with, and they really need an immediate attention. She speaks about economic development, township economy, load reduction. This is something that most of us have been subjected to, and of course, infrastructure deficit and municipal dysfunction. And by the way, we have invited the provincial government to come to the show to talk to us about some of the issues that Ayanda Allie is raising on her statement. But unfortunately, they were not available to come to the show. But we'll continue engaging them to come to the show and talk to us about some of these challenges. Of course, even talking about the state of the province address, just to reflect and also tell us about how these things are going to be done. Some of the priorities that the Premier has outlined. How are they going to make sure that all of these priorities actually they translate into service delivery to the people of this province? So that's what we'll be talking about this evening. And of course, you can be part of the conversation, and I'm sure you know how to do that by now. We are at VUCA Online Radio on all of our social media platforms, at VUCA Online Radio on X, on Facebook, as well as on Instagram. We are going to take a break. When we come back from the break, we will be going straight into some of the reflections from the State of the Province address, and right after that, we will then go into our conversation with Ayanda Allie. Stay tuned.
The Africa Center for Work-Based Learning is a professional development center for professionals who aim to improve their professional standing. This means that the learning programs we run are more than just academic programs. They are work-based programs that focus on leveraging your current experience as a professional to build your overall profile. A year down the line, the Africa Center for Work-Based Learning is developing into a preferred center for professional development in Pretoria, with 8 professional development faculties including accounting, teaching, entrepreneurship, as well as IT and many more. For more information, go to acwbl.org or dial +27 12 751 7608. The Africa Center for Work-Based Learning, where work is learning.
Welcome back to the cycle right here on VUCA Online Radio. With me, your host, MOGALE. Thank you for streaming tonight. We welcome those who have just joined us. If you have just joined us, you perhaps don't know what we are talking about this evening. This evening, we will be reflecting on the State of the Province address as it was delivered by the Premier of Gauteng, Mr. Panyaza Lesufi, last week in Mamelodi. And I like the idea of taking these legislatures to the people. But I think I would like to see more of communities being engaged by the politicians and the members of the provincial legislatures, like we will normally have the parliament going to the people. I know that they do, the provinces do go to the people, but I think I would like to see more of those so that we can actually have citizens participating in the democratic processes, in making sure that they hold those who are in power to account. This evening, right after the break, we will be joined by Ayanda Allie, who is the member of the Provincial Legislature, Gauteng, representing BOSA, which is Build One South Africa, and she will be joining us right after the break, just to reflect on the state of the province address, and also to talk to us about what she calls the true state of the province. This is where she outlines some of the failures by the current administration. And of course, we did extend an invitation to the provincial government of Gauteng, but unfortunately, they were not available to come to the show just to respond to some of the issues that Ayanda is raising, and also to talk to us about some of the issues that the citizens of this province have raised, and also maybe just to take us through how they are going to, bring about the change that they spoke about, that they are going to, do things differently this time, making sure that they reach more citizens of the province. So, but unfortunately, they missed that opportunity. But we'll continue to engage them, make sure that they come to the show, talk to us about how they are going to, advance the lives of the ordinary citizens of the province in the future. But we hope that next time when we extend an invitation, they will actually come and take that with both hands and be on the show. Maybe just to recap on what the Premier said with regard to, the 6 months into the 7th administration. This is the government of provincial unity. He said that they were able to drive inclusive growth, and they also are focusing on job creation. He says that one of the key priorities of this 7th administration is to reduce poverty and tackle the high cost of living. This is something that most of the citizens have been complaining about. And he also talks about the fact that they are committed to building a capable, ethical, and developmental state. There's an organization that I work with, and I remember at one point we had a conversation around building a developmental state. Some of the provincial legislatures members were there in that conversation that we had with that organization that I have the opportunity and the privilege to lead. And of course, we live in a province that we know the challenges of this province, and the Premier has really went at length to actually talk about those challenges. He actually made a mention of the G13. These are the major issues that this government, this 7th administration, will be focusing on, and those are fixing the roads, as I've just said before the break, the potholes that we encounter every day on our way to work, tackling economic development, combating crime and lawlessness, expanding Gauteng services, which is very, very interesting. Next time when he comes, I want him to just explain to us how is this going to work. I can't wait for the moment where I will have to take a Gauteng from Tembisa going to Johannesburg, and see how that will work out, and how long that will take, because he spoke about the fact that this will actually unlock about 120,000 construction jobs, which is good. But will the people of Tembisa afford that when we are actually dealing with a high cost of living? Will we be able to put some few hundreds away just for us to be able to catch a Gautrain train to Johannesburg or Sandton or even Pretoria? Those are some of the issues that I would have loved the Premier or anyone from his office to come to the show and talk to us about. And he also spoke about enhancing, the struggling sectors in the province. The automotive industry, the agricultural sector, and other sectors within the province. They spoke about establishing a state bank and also a pharmaceutical state company in the province. And I remember at some point, Lebogang Maile, the MEC for Economic Development, talking about how they are going to establish the state bank, and we wish to see how that is going to come about. And maybe in the future, I can tell you this: we are trying by all means, all the time, to make sure that we invite these people to the show. But unfortunately, because they've got a whole lot of commitments, sometimes they're not able to make it to the show. But we will keep pushing, we will keep engaging them, and maybe at one point we'll be able to convince them to come to the show and talk about some of these issues. And of course, there was the debate of the State of the Province address last week Thursday, not Friday, where Panyaza Lesufi was responding to some of the issues that the members of the provincial legislature have raised. Let's take a listen to what he said when he was responding to the debate.
What a misleading statement. If all the issues that we have presented, I want to assure the people of Gauteng, I want to assure you, the people of Gauteng, we have not misled you. We presented issues like we have done before. And I want to go through those issues. There are some members that said the issue of bringing all law enforcement agencies under the leadership of the South African police is unconstitutional. What a misleading statement. Every Thursday in this province, for the last 7 years, we've been having a campaign called Ukai Mula, which is a combination of law enforcement agencies under the direct supervision and leadership of the SAPS. What we have done in this administration was to legalize it through a document that we have agreed with. So to say it's unconstitutional, it's baseless. It's not an answer to the issues that our people expect us to deal with this issue.
That was Panyaza Lesufi responding to some of the issues that members of the provincial legislature have raised, debating his State of the Province address. And of course, we have heard from different opposition parties in the legislature talking about the fact that some of the things that you said in your State of the Province address, it was not for the first time you saying those things. These are the things that you have said in the past. Some of the promises, we did not see them, being fulfilled, and yet you are still talking about the same promises even at this time. So we need to really get the ball rolling, make sure that we up our sleeves and we get to work. Those are some of the issues or some of the messages that the members of the provincial legislature were actually putting forward before the Premier, before he could actually respond to some of the issues that they have raised. We are going to take a break. I think it's time for us to take a break. When we come back from the break, we will be joined on the line by Ayanda Allie, who is the member of the provincial legislature here in Gauteng, representing Build One South Africa. We are going to have that conversation right after this break. Let me remind you how to get in touch with us again before we go to a break. You can follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at Vuga Online Radio on X, on Facebook, as well as on Instagram. Do follow us. Do send us some messages. Anything that you like us to talk about, or a guest that you would like us to have right here on the show, please drop a comment there and tell us who you like to here on the show, and then we'll try our best. We always do our best to make sure that we bring these people to the show, and when we are lucky, we are able to have them on the show. But let's take a break. When we come back, we will be having Ayanda Allie right here on the cycle. Stay tuned.
The life of personal coach you're about to work with is who they say they are. How do you know if they can do the job? At the Africa Board for Coaching, Consulting and Coaching Psychology, we can tell you. So, before you share your secrets and spend your money, check with us first. Visit www.abccccp.com or call us on 012-751-7608. The ABCCP, the professional body for coaches.
Welcome back to the cycle this evening right here on Voga Online Radio with me, your host, MOGALE. This evening, just as I said just before the break, that we'll be joined by the member of the Provincial Legislature right here in Gauteng, Ayanda Allie, representing Build One South Africa, to talk to us about the state of the province address as it was delivered by the Premier of Gauteng, and also she will be talking to us about her statement, which was released just before the state of the province address would be delivered by the Premier Panyaza Lesufi, where she outlined a number of issues that are plaguing the province of Gauteng: economic development, education, load reduction, something that many of the citizens of Gauteng have been complaining about, infrastructure deficit. We are talking about the schools that are left to rot, municipal dysfunction. We cannot talk enough about the city of Johannesburg, the state of the city of Johannesburg. It looks like someone is doing some great job in the city of Tshwane, but there are still a whole lot of issues that need to be addressed in our municipality. This evening, as I've just said, we are joined on the line by Ayanda Allie. Ayanda, good evening and welcome to Vuga.
It's such a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time. A very good evening to you and to your listeners.
Thank you so much, Ayanda. Just talk to us about your reaction to the state of the province address as it was delivered by the Premier.
You know, it's unfortunate that the Premier could not give us any timelines and any definite, concrete context to what he was speaking about. I think he missed an opportunity to unite all the different parties around a common vision. The Premier did what he always does, and that is to throw big numbers around, use fancy catchphrases or slogans to try and mask the fact that there's been no delivery. You know, you highlighted some of the issues that he spoke about. He used the term G13, and that's one of these fancy phrases that he always uses. This time around, it was that G13, where he listed 13 problems that the province was facing. Again, these are not new problems, and he has been at the helm before and was not able to solve them. So one asks the question, what's going to be different this time around? We'll take the issue of water, for example. I mean, he apologized to the residents of Gauteng for the water disruption, and then he blamed the issue on vandalism. And we think he missed an opportunity there to call the municipalities to order. We know that we have bulk supply, and that is in good quantity, but the problem is that the water is not reaching the taps. And that's because of poor maintenance by the municipalities. And a lot of that water now seeps through the actual soil as opposed to going to the taps. So we felt that he needed to put the blame squarely on the shoulders of municipalities there. Then he says that City Power and Eskom are going to, work together in what he called a war room to try and solve this issue where pump stations have been vandalized. And we're saying this is the same Eskom and City Power that slaps people with load shedding, that also imposes load reduction on us. How can it be given the responsibility of helping us have water when they can barely do their core mandate, which is provide us electricity? So we were not very impressed with what the Premier had to say. We feel that he used a lot of slogans and he threw around big numbers, but unfortunately it didn't get to the heart of the matter. And I'm sure as the interview progresses, we'll touch on some of the other aspects that he spoke about that we were quite displeased about.
And of course, I'm sure you'll agree with me that for any government to work, like you are in the legislature, you are a member of the legislature, and we need a strong opposition to make sure that they keep those who are in power in check, making sure that they account not only to you, the opposition, but to the public. You released a statement, I think it was just a day before the state of the province address, where you are outlined a number of issues. Are you able maybe just to talk to us about some of the issues that you touched on with regard to issues that have to do with education, the corruption that you spoke about there, the township economy, which you spoke about in that statement, the load reduction, which you've just made a mention to?
Absolutely. I mean, let's start with the first issue of housing. We remember in August 2024, when the Premier first gave the SOPA in the 7th administration, where he spoke about 80 new schools that his government was going to build. He put a price tag of 1.5 billion rand there. This time around, in the 2025 State of the Province address, he again reiterated that there will be 80 new schools, but he put that price tag at 2.5 billion. And we're why they're struggling to build schools is because of poor leadership. We know the Department of Infrastructure Development is the one that's supposed to manage these projects, with the Department of Education being the client, but these schools do not get finished. And what happens is that the service provider eventually abandons the project, and these projects get stripped away and vandalized and deteriorate, and it costs the state even more to try and resuscitate that project. So the problem is not even about the amount of money that's invested towards infrastructure development when it comes to schools. It's about poor leadership, and it's important that he holds those responsible to account and that criminal charges be laid for those who are not able to properly manage the funds of the state. So that's the one thing. The second one, you're quite right. The Premier spoke about 30 manufacturers who were being assisted with access to market and product testing. And he said that there are major retailers that are now waiting for these manufacturers to supply them. And we take exception to that because it couldn't be further from the truth. We went on the ground and we met with about 40 manufacturers who were part of the Gauteng Fund initiative. They were part of Family Tree Holdings, where they were supposed to be given assistance to increase their capacity, to help them to scale their operations so that they can produce en masse, they could have their products on shelves or distribution centers, and none of that happened. In fact, the opposite happened. Their businesses were stripped, their businesses were destroyed, and their businesses were eroded by this intervention of the state. And the fact that the Premier refuses to acknowledge that is mind-boggling. We know in the sixth administration there was a recommendation that Family Tree and Department of Economic Development be looked into. There was a request for a forensic investigation, and that request was denied. So when we arrived in the seventh administration, and we also said there's a problem when it comes to township economic development, we are also reiterating, can there be this forensic investigation? We too were denied. So you have a department that is protecting those who are destroying the township economy, and then you have a Premier who is either lying to the nation outright or he is being deceived. And either one of those two options is very bad. So when it comes to those two issues of education, and as you've mentioned, the township economic development, again, we are saying that the Premier leaves much to be desired.
And you have been on the ground. You have been engaging with the citizens of Gauteng, be it in Soweto, be it in Tembisa, or anywhere across the province. And I know that they have told you what their issues are. As the opposition party in the provincial legislature, what is it that you are proposing as an alternative to the government to say we can't be doing the same thing and expecting a different result? What is it that you think should be done by this seventh administration in order to change the lives of the people?
We do believe that the fish rots at the head, and where there is a lack of vision and a lack of leadership, the people will fall apart, the country will fall apart, the province will not function at its best. So for us, the beginning and the end, first and foremost, is about that leadership. We're calling on the Premier to take a stand and to do a thorough investigation over all of the structures that have been vandalized and left dilapidated. And people must be held to account, even in their personal capacity, where they were overseeing a project and that project has lost money as opposed to delivering results. That's the first thing. Until people start to feel the impact in their pockets, they will continue as they would like to. They will partner with service providers and eat the money of the state without delivering services because they know they will not be arrested. And if anything happens, they will just resign. They will not be held responsible in their personal capacity. And we're saying that must change. That's the only way we're going to start seeing delivery and start seeing services. He then speaks about lifestyle audits, and this is a good thing. But in and of itself, if you're not able to then take decisions once people have been found to have misused state funds, then that's a problem as well. So we're saying the first thing that needs to happen is for us to be able to have what is that called a capable state, we always say, where people who are officials who are supposed to be rendering services are held accountable, where they are made sure which they do what they are promised to do. That's the first thing. And then when you're going to hire an implementing agent like Family Tree and operate in Kataras and other areas there, you have to be able to have monitoring and evaluation mechanisms that make sure that you go to the ground and you speak to the manufacturers and you ask them, the state has released money for you to be empowered. Have you been empowered? Because then you will find that the vast majority of the people who are sending reports saying the services have been rendered and all is well are deceiving the state. And they are lying to the Premier and all in sundry. So we think it's important for there to be leadership. We think it's important for there to be a accountability, and we think it's important for there to be monitoring and evaluation of whatever funds are dispersed by the state.
And as we conclude, because we have run out of time, I know that you gave me 5 minutes, we are at 10 minutes now. But just as we conclude, are you able to talk to us about, I know that you are not at the national parliament, you are in the provincial legislature, but I know that whatever happens at national, will have a direct effect on what happens at the provincial level, more especially with the budget allocation. We know that the budget was postponed to the 12th of March, and the real problem there, as we've been told, is that there was a proposal to raise the VAT to 2%, and this is something that was denied. I remember your leader, Musi Maimane, saying that with this postponement, it gives us an opportunity to engage further. Has there been any engagement within the Build One South Africa with regard to what proposals should be tabled before the Minister of Finance as they are preparing for the 12th of March?
Absolutely. Firstly, we are of the view that citizens should not be made to pay for government inefficiency and ineptitude. The state is not able to manage the funds accordingly. Millions and billions are being lost due to corruption, because of mismanagement, because of fruitless and wasteful expenditure. So you cannot then blame the citizenry and increase the taxes to an already overburdened South African citizen who's here, who's having to pay for privatized services like private education, private security, private health, and the like in order to get quality services. So an increase in tax is a definite no-no as far as we're concerned. That is punishing the citizens for the sins of government. Then the second point that we're quite interested in is the allocation to municipalities. Now, we know that at the moment it's sitting at around 10%, but we're saying that there needs to be a policy shift. We need to look at how much we're giving to municipalities, because the municipality is the core face of service delivery. The bulk of what we need for our daily lives lies squarely in local government. So we need to make sure that in terms of how much we allocate to municipalities, we need to be mindful of that. Many municipalities do not have the requisite residents who will be able to pay for services. I mean, I think of other places outside even of Gauteng, the Northern Cape and the like, where people are functioning in a municipality that's got zero budget. You know, when you create a budget knowing that there's nothing that you're going to do to generate this money, you don't have the money, but you create the budget nonetheless because it's what is required of you. So we know that many of these municipalities have this unfunded budget, is what they call, and we're saying we need to relook at how we then subsidize those municipalities whose residents are absolutely unable to pay rates and taxes. And then I think it's also important that we're mindful of the indigent register. The indigent register is a register where everybody who cannot afford electricity or cannot afford the basic services like refuge removal as well as water have been given allocated funds that have been dispersed by Treasury so that municipalities can provide those services for free. What is happening now is that those registers are not being populated adequately. So in Gauteng, for example, I'll take Johannesburg, for example, there are about 900,000 people that should be on the indigent register as per Stats SA, because these are indigent people. But at the moment, there's less than 30,000. So just look at that discrepancy. 900,000 who, according to Stats SA, should be on the indigent registry. But at the moment, that register is sitting at 30,000. So the entire vast majority of people who are supposed to be getting resources and services for free, paid for by Treasury, are not getting those services for free. And the question must be asked, then where are the funds going? And what is the municipality doing with those funds? And why can they not account for them? So more than just the budget and what is allocated to the indigent, we want to know how are those funds being managed. And we do believe that government should start paying closer attention to the issue of the indigent registry. So when it comes to the budgets, that is our area of interest as Build One South Africa, especially when it comes to the Gauteng division.
No, thanks. I know there's a lot we can talk about, but we have run out of time. And thank you so much for making time this evening.
You're most welcome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Well, that was Ayanda Allie, the member of the Provincial Legislature, right here in Gauteng, talking to us about their take on the provincial state of the province address by the Premier, as well as talking to us about the statement that was released by Ayanda Allie talking about some of the issues that are really the challenges in the province. Those issues that Panyaza Lesufi is certainly not going to talk about. These are the issues that has to do with education, corruption in that sector, economic development, as well as township economy. There are issues that she has been raising, and we have given the province of Gauteng a right of reply. They were not able to come back to us to talk to us about some of these issues, but we will continue to engage them so that they're coming to the show, talk to us about some of these issues, and deny them or confirm them, and maybe talk to us about how they're going to deal with these issues going forward. We will be back right after this short break. Stay tuned.
The Africa Center for Work-Based Learning is a professional development center for professionals who aim to improve their professional standing. This means that the learning programs we run are more than just academic programs. They are work-based programs that focus on leveraging your current experience as a professional to build your overall profile. A year down the line, the Africa Center for Work-Based Learning is developing into a preferred center for professional development in Pretoria, with 8 professional development faculties including accounting, teaching, entrepreneurship, as well as IT and many more. For more information, go to acwbl.org or dial +27 12 751 7608. The Africa Center for Work-Based Learning, where work is learning.
Welcome back to the show this evening with me, your host, MOGALE. This is The Cycle, the show that comes to you every Monday from 6 until 7 p.m. And this evening, just before we took a break, we were joined by the BOSA, Build One South Africa, member of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, Ayanda Allie, talking to us about her reflections, or their reflections, on the state of the province address as it was delivered by the Premier of Gauteng, Panyaza Lesufi. And also talking to us about the statement that was released by Ayanda Allie, representing BOSA, where she outlined, or maybe let me start here. She titled this statement "The True State of the Province," the true state of the province, because she felt that whatever it is that Panyaza Lesufi was going to say to the people of Gauteng on the state of the province address was not going to be the issues that this government is plagued with, the 7th administration, some of the failures that his administration is faced with, but rather he is going to be coming up with new figures, coming up with new promises, not taking accountability on some of the failures. So that is the context upon which she released this statement, and she spoke to us at length about some of the issues that concerns her, and of course even her party, BOSA, which are education, the corruption in the education, as she alleges that on the Gauteng bursary scheme, and also she spoke about the township economy. And I think I saw her video last week. She was somewhere in the province where she was talking to a gentleman who started his own business, and when the provincial government came in, that business did not actually survive. And there are issues that that has to do with that business. And of course, we will in the future try and invite some of these people who are saying that they were doing well until the government came in, and that actually disrupted their business. And just for us to understand as how that happened. And she also spoke about the load reduction. I'm sure many of us can really attest to this. I'm not affected by load reduction, but some of my family members are affected by load reduction. And she also spoke about the infrastructure deficit. I'm sure you've heard her talking about some of the schools that are left to rot in the province, and many other issues that she has raised. And of course, giving us their proposal to to the budget, because we know that the budget was postponed to the 12th of March, and that was because of the disagreements with regard to the 2% VAT hike. So that is something that not only politicians, but you could also sense that even the public was actually not happy with that, because that reduces their buying power, it reduces our buying power as the citizens. So those are some of the issues that Ayanda Allie addressed with us, and of course saying that Panyaza Lesufi lost an opportunity or missed an opportunity to actually take the people of Gauteng into his confidence to say that we have failed as government, and we will do better if you give us another chance. And of course, they still have how many years in this 7th administration? They still have some time to really turn things around. But Ayanda Allie saying that he lost that opportunity. And of course, as I said, I just need to emphasize this because when we invite a political party to come, more especially when a political party comes to make certain allegations, we also want to offer an opportunity of a right of reply to the government, to the Premier's office or the Premier himself. We know that he is busy, sometimes doesn't really have enough time to really come to the show, but there are people whom he can delegate to come and speak to us about some of the issues that are being raised by the opposition parties or even the members of the public. They can come and account, but unfortunately they were not available to come and talk to us, and we respected that, and we said that whenever you are ready, we will continue to engage with you so that you are able to come and talk to us about some of the issues that Ayanda has raised, and some of these issues really, without buying face to Ayanda, some of the issues that she's raising are the issues that we know as the people of this province, and it would have been very interesting to hear from the government of this province as to how they are going to deal with those issues, or how true are these issues, because sometimes they can say, no, Ayanda is actually exaggerating. Yes, there is a problem, but actually what she's saying, this and this is not true. But we agree and we accept that yes, there are problems with the Gauteng bursary scheme. There are problems with the township economy initiatives, and of course there are issues with potholes. That is something that he himself, Panyaza, said that yes, they apologize to the people of Gauteng for some of the challenges that they are faced with. Unfortunately, we are going to leave it here for the cycle this evening. I just wanted to clarify that so that you understand that we gave them an opportunity to come to the show to talk to us about some of these issues that Ayanda has raised. But unfortunately, as I said, they were not available. We are going to leave it here for the cycle this evening. The cycle will be back next week, Monday, from 6 until 7 p.m. Until we meet again next week, Monday, it's a good evening from me, and God bless you.
The home of inspiration every day.
Most people give up on themselves easily. You know the human spirit is powerful.
From news,
Countries across the globe have been hit by the COVID-19 virus.
views,
There's a global trend to see an increase in GBV incidences, specifically domestic violence.
sports,
What's he say? It's a really good ball. It's Shabalala.
and music to inspire you every day. This is Vuga Online, your inspiration radio station.